What is up, guys? Welcome to episode 1 of the Moro's Drink and Music Podcast. I am Justin, and I am your host. So this week, we're actually going to be chatting a little bit different of what I want this podcast to be. I know it's the first episode, but we're going to be talking about a tequila tasting that I did this past weekend. I was at a brewery near me called Black Pond Brews, if any of you have ever heard of it. They are phenomenal. They have some great beers, some great options, great food, whole 9 yards. But so they were doing a tequila tasting of Uno Dos Tres Tequila, or 123 Tequila, which is a certified organic, 100% blue agave tequila from Mexico. And honestly, it was probably one of the coolest liquor tasting experiences I've ever had. They had a full presentation that they were doing. They were giving away gifts for people who could answer trivia questions. There was food pairings, which Black Pond, whenever they do a food pairing tasting, that food pairing, you know it's going to be absolutely incredible. I have never had a bad experience with their food pairing. The last one I went to before this, they did braised boar shank, and it was fall off the bone incredible. So for the tequila, so Uno Dos Tres Tequila, they have a primary line that we tasted, which is Uno, Dos, and Tres, which is their Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo, respectively. They also have one called the Diablito, which is an extra añejo, which we did not get to taste. Instead, we tasted the Mezcal Croneo, which is also one of their line. But for the organic Blanco, it was honestly incredible. They paired it up. So really, they started with nachos and a cocktail with a different tequila, just so you could taste the lower, or what they considered to be a lower quality tequila versus theirs. So the nachos were great. Chips were all made in house. Fantastic cheese, the entire 9 yards. But so they served the Blanco alongside some Cubano sliders, which were to die for. They were delectable Cuban sandwiches. I don't care who says what. A good Cuban is hard to come by in my part of the world. Not really my part of the world, my part of the country. And it was absolutely incredible. But the Blanco, getting into that, it was really, really good. Their labels... So actually, let's get a little bit into the bottle before I start going into tasting notes and such. All of their bottles are made with hand-blown recycled glass. Then, their labels are all recycled paper with plant-based inks. And they do a fantastic job with representation. Honestly, the bottle looks clean, it looks nice, it looks like a very classic bottle that you would go in and be like, oh, that's artisanal. So, the Uno, or the Blanco, it had like this really nice smell. It was super good agave with a little bit of like lemon zest on the scent, I guess I would say, like a citrusy agave scent. The taste, it was pretty sweet. Like it wasn't well, if you're not used to drinking hard liquor, it was dry. Like any hard liquor is going to be dry. There's not a lot of sugar in it. There's not a lot of sugar added. But I mean, honestly, I don't even think there was any sugar added to theirs. It was absolutely delicious. But it was really smooth, slightly sweet. It stays on your palate for quite a long time. Like, I'm talking, you take the sip, and 30 seconds later, you're still tasting the tequila. It would be phenomenal in a mixed drink. Phenomenal in whatever you want to put it in. And you match that up with those sliders, and it's a knock in the park. So, or knock out of the park, I guess I should say. Wow. So the next one that we tried was their Reposado. and it was also very good. It was a lot more complicated in its flavor due to the oak aging process of what a reposado goes through. But so with it, they served carnitas tacos with a small salad with, I think, pickled corn and a couple of other things on it. But so I had one of the tacos then while drinking the reposado, and it was very, very different. The smell is still heavy on the agave, but it kind of has this cream scent to it, like not really cream, I guess, like a vanilla, off vanilla, like an oak vanilla scent. And then when you tasting it had like a slight pepperiness at the start, a little bit of caramelly butterscotch. That's how I view it. Their pamphlet says salted caramel and creme brulee and toffee. I got more of a butterscotch and salted caramel, or not salted caramel, more of a butterscotch and vanilla agave taste. It was very smooth, very good. There was not as much heat as I was imagining there to be, but it had like a little bit of hints of pepper in the back, but the end of it was a little bit more complex. You didn't just have the agave sitting in your mouth, that agave sweetness. It turned into more of a spicy, floral finish that you would get throughout your entire mouth. The second one that they served with the main course was the añejo. Now, the añejo is a little bit closer to what you would consider a traditional whiskey would be in flavor, just because it sees a lot more time on oak. I think that it didn't taste like a whiskey. I think that it tasted exactly how I envisioned it to taste, just as a deeper, more full-bodied, flavored tequila. I think it counterbalanced the tacos and the spices in the tacos much better than the reposado did. I think the reposado held up, but I think that there were times when, if you're drinking a reposado, it's more delicate. It's more of like a sitting in an armchair and just having that. Like, I'll sit down and I will just drink a reposado. I have a bottle of Clase Azul reposado. I have a bottle of Calleja reposado. At least I think it's a reposado. It might be an añejo, but I'm pretty sure it's a reposado. And both of those, they have this delicacy or delicateness to them that when you pair them with food, you have to be careful not to overshadow them. And I'm not saying that this got overshadowed by the tacos. I think it more needed a little bit of breathing room to really express itself, but it was really good. The añejo, on the other hand, the scent, the taste, all of it put those tacos right where they were, and it said, no, I'm the star. I'm in charge. It came out swinging on the nose. Like, the nose, you get a very bourbony, very vanilla and agave, like a slow roasted agave that's seen a little bit of vanilla bean with a touch of oak. And it sits, and you can smell it, and you can tell that it's very, very robust. And so as you drink that, it tends to have a little bit deeper of a flavor, almost like a dry, dark chocolate. It didn't really taste like chocolate to me, but that's how it made your mouth feel a little bit towards the end of drinking it. But it was very heavy on the caramel and the vanilla. It was probably the driest of all of them. It lost a lot of the tequila or the agave sweetness, which I'm more used to because I've mostly had reposadas and blancos. But with that said, it still kept the sweetness hanging around. You could still taste it. It was fantastic. If you let it sit in the glass, or if you hang onto that bottle and let it sit, I'm sure that it will evolve in some ways that it will just turn out to be absolutely phenomenal. In my personal opinion, I think that it is one of the best tequilas I've ever had. For being half the price of that bottle of Class A Azul, I think that it stands up full force to it. I think it comes out swinging and keeps it going. The last thing that we tried, which was not in their pamphlet, was the Mezcal Craneo. And it was I don't want to say it was super smoky. There's scotches I've had that are definitely heartier smokes than this. But it was still nice. It was still agave sweetness forward with the smoke on the back. The thing that really stuck out to me was that we took it in different ways. He was explaining, so the person who was running the tasting was explaining that in Mexico, typically the traditional way to drink most mezcals is with an orange slice and some worm salt and to shoot it. I tasted it on its own because I wanted to know what it tasted like. I got the smokiness. It was really, really quite a beautiful mezcal. And then he had us try it with lime with worm salt because we did not have orange slices. That lime juice and that worm salt, that smokiness was gone. It was like night and day. You combine them and it turned into straight agave. Absolutely incredible. But I saved most of it afterwards for the dessert course, which they gave us a Tres Leches cake with a rum cream, I believe they said. And I don't think I could have thought of something that doesn't make sense to me of smoke with sugary, creamy cake. But it turned out incredible. It was such a good matchup. They played super well off each other. The milk helped to dissipate the smoke while still playing with the black pepper and agave sweetness of it played extremely well with the flavors that were going on. And I don't think that there could have been a better combination. I think that they really just matched up with each other better than I even could have thought they would. So, clearly, I like tequila a lot. Tequila's probably my favorite liquor. So, there's going to be a lot of episodes in the future that are going to be about cocktails, and there's going to be quite a few that have to do with tequila just because it's something that I like to work with. Most of my personal at-home cocktails that I have come up with and made do have a tequila base to them, but I will be touching base on a lot of other liquors as well. I really like rum, Chicacha, however it's pronounced, the national liquor of Brazil, it's like a rum agricole. It makes a caipirinha, which is an absolutely incredible drink. We'll talk about it at a different time. But really, tequila is probably the liquor that I like the most out of all of them. We'll get into my tastes and everybody else's tastes as we go. I might have some friends come onto the show who are also going to discuss their tastes. But we're also going to be talking about music. So I'm going to be doing some album reviews here and there. I'm going to try to keep it about even. I may try to do one album review to every liquor episode just because I have a bartending license, I have the Bar Smarts certification, and I have a couple of other bourbon steward certifications, stuff like that. So that's where my primary knowledge set is. I worked at a radio station for a while in college, so I like to talk about music. I like to review albums. I used to write my own reviews for a custom website that I made, so I'm going to be trying to use that template for how I will talk about albums and stuff in the future like that. With that said, this will be the end of episode 1. I hope to see you guys here again in the future, and I hope that you all have a great day. And let me know if you want to discuss anything. You can reach me at let's just use my Morrowind email. So it's morrowinz@gmail.com. That's MOROWINZ@gmail.com. You can find me on twitch.tv/morrowinz. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube as morrowinz.